So today I'm looking back on the year 2023 and looking ahead to the year 2024 for things like my travel, for my workshops, for this YouTube channel, and my own personal photography. Now, updates like these don't always do super great views-wise on the YouTube channel, but I think it's important enough to talk about and to sort of at a high level go through this and how I look at it for my photography and my business and everything like that. I know as a YouTube consumer, I like to see that, and I'm sure this will resonate with some folks. Others just want to hear about the gear reviews and see the vlogs and things like that, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I think these moments of reflection are important, and planning ahead for the future year are important. I talk about it in my newsletters, I talk about it in my social posts, so that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. So let's start with 2023. Overall, 2023 is really good for my photography on a multitude of fronts. I got to travel a lot, hosted several workshops, my YouTube channel has continued to grow, and I've continued to work on my own photography and improve it and refine it as we go. So let's dive into travel first. So there was lots of travel for me in 2023. January started out with a trip to the Rocky Mountain National Park. I spent 2 days heading up into the mountains up towards Dream Lake. It was cold, it was windy, it was an amazing time. Had a really good time going up there and visiting the mountains. It was really a great start to the year and really helped just sort of kick the year off right. It was cold, I got to test out my cold weather gear, make sure it all worked out well, got to practice my photography. It'd been decades since I'd been to the Dream Lake area, so it was super nice to revisit and enjoy that journey. So I definitely walked away from that trip with some photos I thought were good. Like I said, just a perfect start to the year. I would love to make it back. Not sure it's going to happen this year, but it is just such an amazing area to visit, and visiting in the winter was something I'd never done before. So super cool there. So in March, we followed that trip up with a trip to Death Valley, and that was great because it sort of was a time for me to meet an online community of friends in person. I think there's about 7 or 8 of us out there, and it was just a really great experience. I'd never been to Death Valley. I'm a big fan of the Southwest anyways, but Death Valley was something even unique to the typical desert areas that I make it out to. And had a really great time. I think we spent 3 or 4 days out there, met some new folks, got lots of photography in. Now, one thing I sort of took away from that trip is a lot of times when I'm doing a trip or leading a trip or taking a trip, I'm the one that knows the area or knows the itinerary or what we're going to do. Well, since this was a group of friends, there were other people that knew the area better than I did, so I really didn't do a lot of pre-research. And in looking back, I do feel like I learned from that trip that I should always do just a little bit of research to sort of have an idea of the environment I'm going into. And that's not so much so I could comp stomp people's compositions as much as just it was all so new to me. It was sort of overwhelming, some of the places we went to. There are certain places we went to that when I left with my pictures, I'm like, I think I sort of missed the objective there. So that was probably my lesson learned there. Amazing trip. Hope to visit that area again because it is just an amazing area to visit. Had a great time. And it was really good meeting some folks that I knew from online communities in person. So that was super fun. And then, of course, I had my regular West Virginia trips. Anyone who's been watching the channel knows I tend to travel to West Virginia. It's what I consider a regional location for me, only about a 4.5 hour drive. And there's a certain area to go to in the Davis-Thomas, West Virginia area that is just full of great landscape photography opportunities. And this particular year, I did lead a couple workshops out there, did some visits with friends out there. So spent a lot of time going to West Virginia, a spring trip, a summer trip, and a fall trip. Never fails to disappoint. Things are always different. It's really vibes into my revisiting locations because you always see something a little different, see it in different weather conditions, and I'm still chasing my sunset at Lindy Point. But that was a great trip as well. And then continuing beyond that, I also had several trips to the Arizona area, specifically the Phoenix area. In this particular year, I made it out 3 times. And again, this is another time I really sort of practiced my revisiting locations. I knew where I'd be staying most of the time on these trips, and I knew I'd be having multiple trips to the area in 2023. So I sort of was deliberate in choosing, I'm going to go really learn and explore this place. And in my case, it was the Superstition Mountains and that area. Particularly, I spent a lot of time in the Lost Dutchman State Park. And it was just really amazing, but I really covered a lot of this in my revisiting landscape photography locations, which I'll link to that video in the description below. But I kept repeating my visits to Lost Dutchman State Park. It was conveniently located, it was easy to pop over there in an evening, and things always look different. You got different clouds in the monsoon season. I went there 3 nights during monsoon season, and every single night from the Lost Dutchman State Park, the mountain line, the ridge there looked completely different. The light was different, the clouds were different. And then I revisited it in October and in December as well. Every time, something different, explored new trails, saw from different areas. Just a really great trip. And again, just sort of reiterates the importance of revisiting a location. Had a great time out there. We'll probably make it out there another time or two here in 2024. But yeah, Arizona was great trips. Love it out there in the Southwest. So with that, let's move on into workshops. So I ran several workshops in 2023. Most of them were single-day workshops, the ones I've been running for a while in the Hocking Hills region. Just a really great area. If you hit it in the springtime, there's lots of, the water runs really well, lots of waterfalls, lots of interesting rocks, trees. It's a home of eastern hemlocks, so you always get a little bit of green. They even look good in the wintertime. Just very successful workshops. I ran a couple one-days of those, and when I do my one-on-one workshops, which I offer, I tend to use that area as my backdrop for that because it's relatively close to where I live, and there's just all sorts of variety down there to photograph, and it's a good place to sort of work on those skills, work on compositions, and sort of go over the basics. So that worked out really well. My group workshops did well in the spring. They were a little more lightly attended in the fall, but I really had sort of a pickup in my one-on-one workshops in the fall, which was nice. Had helped several people out there on a one-to-one basis, which is great because you can really sort of talk to the person, figure out what they want to work on, and sort of focus in on that and really help them through that. So very successful one-on-one workshop season. Beyond that, I also ran my first multi-day workshop, and that was in West Virginia. And that was a great workshop. Went out there, spent 2 full days and then a half day preceding, half day after. And like I said, that area is also just tons of variety. You've got waterfalls, you've got overlooks, you've got the unique landscape of the Dolly Sods area, the Bear Rock Preserve area. And those workshops went really well. I led a spring workshop there, well attended, had a great time helping people, and a very successful workshop there. Now, the fall workshop, I had one of those on the schedule, but it just didn't really take off. And I'm still trying to puzzle that out to figure out, is it the location? Is it my advertising? What's up with that? Went out anyways with a friend, and we had a great time, explored the area, got some fall photos. It's what my ebook portfolio is based on. And if you haven't seen that, I'll link to that down in the description. It's a free download of all the images that I edited from that 2023 fall West Virginia trip. There's some good ones in there. No email address required, just download it and go. Like I said, I'll link to it down below. But great time in West Virginia, but just really didn't fill the seats on that particular one. So we're going to talk about some of my workshop strategy in the 2024 section. But overall, like I said, it's been a good experience leading landscape photography workshops. Okay, next up we've got the YouTube channel, and 2023 was a good year for it. I went into 2023, wasn't monetized yet, and for those of you that aren't YouTube content creators, monetized means you need to have 4,000 hours of watch time and 1,000 plus subscribers. And I had the watch time coming into 2023, but I didn't quite have the subscribers yet. But finally hit that, I want to say it was early March, something like that, I think, mid-March, and the channels continue to grow throughout the year. So, like I've always said, YouTube is much more of a marathon, less of a sprint, and I think the really key thing for a YouTube channel, if you're interested in getting into YouTube, is you have to enjoy the process. If you're just going for the likes, the subscriber count, or anything like that, or if you think you're going to get a lot of ad revenue, that it is certainly not there for smaller channels like me. Even the mid-sized channels I don't think are pulling in tons of money. You know, a little bit here and there is always nice, but anyways, enjoy the process. I do enjoy the process. I like coming up with topic ideas. I like editing the video. I just enjoy the whole process. So because of that, the YouTube channel's been a great outlet. Love doing the YouTube channel. Going to continue to do the YouTube channel because the YouTube channel also opens up other opportunities, it gives an easy way for workshop attendees to preview me. So if you're considering a workshop with me, watch my YouTube channel. If you think my personality isn't a good match for you, really nice to be able to sort of get that out of the way, and then that person can go looking on. Maybe you're considering a workshop with me, you watch my channel, it's like, yeah, I like the way he teaches things. It's just a really great preview of what a workshop with me is like. So it works really well from that standpoint, and just opportunities to meet other YouTube creators and such online. It's great, it's fun. But overall, 2023 is I consider a successful year for the YouTube channel. A couple little tweaks and changes, but really nothing significant. We'll dive into that in 2024, where I sort of went ahead with the YouTube channel, but really nothing hugely different. A lot of it's just incremental small improvements as I continue to grow the channel. And on that point, thanks to all my subscribers, everyone that likes a video, everyone that comments on a video, everyone that's clicked that subscribe button. It really means a lot. I always appreciate the feedback. I enjoy answering the questions and comments, talking with people in the comments. All the support goes a long way, and so I appreciate having you along on this journey. Okay, last one, my own photography. A lot of times when you're in this business of trying to make landscape photography work, we're talking about the travel. A lot of times it's a little bit for the business, just to help add to the portfolio. The YouTube channel is obviously sort of a business-driven decision, and workshops are obviously business-driven. But there's always the my photography component. What am I doing to improve my photography? Because at the end of the day, the reason I do all this is because I enjoy photography. I enjoy the access a camera gives me. I enjoy the whole process of photography. I enjoy, like I've said in past videos or articles, that the camera is sort of a key to experience. And I think that's still true today. So with that said, there are still personal photography goals I work on. And anyone that watched through 2023 heard me mention working on small scenes photography. I think small scenes photography is a natural evolution to a landscape photographer. I think as landscape photographers, we tend to start with that wide angle lens, capture these grand scenes, and that's where our focus is. I think as you continue along, you become more in tune with nature, and the grand scenes become, unfortunately, a little more familiar. There's still amazing things that happen, amazing light, amazing clouds, but as you do it, you start to find satisfaction and excitement in those small scenes, picking out those small details and composing them in such a way to be an intriguing image. And 2023 was my year to sort of start to embrace the small scenes, start practicing my eye to see those small scenes. The 100 to 400 millimeter lens has become a standard carry for me, whereas in 2022, it was only towards the tail end I picked one up, and even then, a lot of times I'd leave it at home because I didn't want to carry the weight. Now it's practically a staple in my camera bag. So during my practice of 2023, where I was trying to improve my eye and my creativeness to see these scenes, I do think I got better at seeing it. I tend to be more in tune on my hikes while I'm photographing grand scenes. We all know I'm a sucker for a waterfall, but as I'm watching these waterfalls, I start to notice smaller scenes within the waterfall, near the waterfall. But I started to see those scenes better. Now there's still some room for improvement, and we'll touch on those in the 2024 section. Okay, so let's turn our attention to 2024. Like I said, I think it's important as a photographer to think back on your past year, what worked well, what didn't, and help formulate a plan for 2024. Now mine's a mix of business and personal photography, but I'm hoping people find the behind the scenes a little interesting, sort of what makes everything tick. So let's look at 2024. First up, following the same order as I did for 2023, travel. I loved my travel in 2023, and I found myself saying yes to pretty much any time someone said, do you want to go do this in some state, saying yes. Luckily, I had the opportunity to say yes, and the ability to say yes and go hang out and do these things. But over the course of the year, it was a lot. It was a lot of travel. I don't know if it was always deliberate enough. So as I go into 2024, I still want to travel. I still want to take some trips, but I want to be just a little bit more deliberate about it. Choose my locations a little more carefully. Choose why I'm going to a location. Is it to grow my personal photography? Is it to scout a workshop location? Maybe it is a meetup with some friends or something like that. But just, I want to be a little more deliberate, probably say no to some trips, just so that I don't detract too much time away from family, home responsibilities, and things like that. I ran myself pretty crazy during 2023, and as someone that's a little bit introverted, just all the travel sort of took its toll. I don't know if I was able to relax as much as I could have and just sort of get that regroup, which I think is valuable too. So in 2024, still traveling, just gonna be a little more deliberate about what I say yes to, where I'm going, and being clear on my purpose and my goal of that travel. With that said, travel is great. I think it opens up creativity, keeps you fresh, lets you see new things, and that's what we're all in this for, right? Landscape photography lets you get outdoors and see cool things, and travel definitely opens up that door. Just, I might have gone a little too far in 2023, so we're going to sort of watch that in 2024. Okay, moving on into workshops in 2024. So this is probably where the biggest changes are happening as we go into 2024. And a lot of that centers around my spring workshops 2023 sold pretty well, filled the seats pretty much. The fall of 2023, one-on-ones were great, and those have picked up and are continuing to pick up here in the spring of 2024. But my multi-day workshops, they might have been on the edge of my comfort as far as just the whole logistics behind it all, filling seats, how to fill seats, and trying to do that. The spring trip, super successful. Fall, didn't really sell enough seats for that to run a full-on workshop. So in 2024, I think I have a plan. I am going to do some scouting for some other locations. I think one of the things I came to realize during the 2023 workshop season is, though I love West Virginia and I think it has an amazing opportunity, I don't have the name recognition necessarily to pull in a lot of workshop attendees just yet. And I think the location might help influence more attendees, more interest in it, if I pair up with where I'm going to lead them into locations people are already looking at. So I believe that will work. But with that said, I've not really focused on big locations with intent of running workshops. So in 2024, I'm going to do a little bit of scouting. I have 2 places in mind. I'm not going to tell where they're at now. Follow me through the year, and you'll probably be able to guess by the end of the year the 2 locations I'm considering. I will say they're national parks, so that brings in a whole different line of things, as certain permits, certain things you can do, can't do, as well as additional money. Those national park permits, while not crazy expensive, do come with a cost in order to be permitted to lead workshops in those locations. So 2024 is I'm going to back off the multi-day workshops. I'll still run my Hocking Hills workshops. I'm still going to do one-on-one workshops, all regionally. Happy to help people out on that front. But for the multi-day, I'm going to take this year off from multi-day workshops, scout some locations, dot my I's, cross my T's when it comes to the administrative aspect of it, the insurances, the permits, and all of that type of thing, so I can see if a bigger location has more of a draw. In the meantime, I'll be continuing to grow my experience. I get to refine that on my local one-day workshops, and we're going to try to tie that all together into hopefully what'll be an exciting 2025 workshop-wise. But yeah, that's workshops for this year. Like I said, single-day workshops regionally, all in on that. I already have some announced, and they're near full actually already. And then doing my one-on-one workshops, those are also off to a good start. But for the multi-days, I think I'm going to revamp, find some new locations, and see how 2025 pans out. Okay, YouTube channel for 2024. So really, 2023 went pretty well. Like I said, I think YouTube's a marathon, and I saw growth in 2023, relatively steady growth, and overall, I don't see any huge significant changes coming to the YouTube channel. I'm probably still going to talk more about gear than other things. I've found I'm more comfortable talking about specific things, whether it be a piece of gear and how I use it, or particular landscape photography concepts, teaching people how to do firmware updates, teaching people about focus stacking. Those are where I'm most comfortable. With that said, I do want to continue to add a vlogging aspect to my channel. I did a couple vlogging videos in 2023. I'll link to them down below. Let's see, I think I did Rocky Mountain National Park. I did in Arizona, 2 Arizona ones that were more vlog style than anything like I'm teaching you this. There's a lot of work that goes into vlog, both just from setting up multiple camera angles to telling a story well through video. Those are the things I want to work on in 2024. Continuing to improve my video ability to tell a story. It'll help with my core content on the channel. It'll help with talking about gear. It'll help with explaining concepts. So it's a win-win to learn how to do it. I think a strong vlogger, the video they put together, it just makes for a more engaging experience. I think my videos have added that within 2023, as well, but I'm going to continue to focus on that. Make more engaging videos, tell better stories, better edits, just better B-roll that helps keep people engaged and interested. And that's really my main goal for the YouTube channel. Just continue to learn to tell a story through video, practice my vlogging, because I do want to see more vlogging content added to my channel. I think there's value to see what it's like to be out in the field. What am I doing? What am I setting? What am I looking for? Or talking through a composition without necessarily, I'm giving you the 5 rules of composition, but more, here I am at this scene. Here's what I'm thinking about as I set the scene up. I think there's value to that. I don't do as much of it just because I feel like I'm not the strongest at telling a super compelling story through video. I think it's a skill that can be practiced and learned, and that's something I plan on working on in 2024. But overall, don't see any significant change to the YouTube channel. I'm hoping to see the continued regular growth, which I saw through 2023. If I continue to see that same level of growth, a little bit of acceleration, I'll be feeling pretty good by the end of 2024. Okay, so that brings us to my photography in 2024. The whole reason I do all of this, my photography. So as we said, in 2023, I worked on seeing small scenes, getting better at I love waterfalls, being near those big waterfalls, but then looking for the smaller scenes that are around there. That's one of my things I practiced, and now I'd love to carry on my 100 to 400 way more than I did last year. And I do believe I've started to get a little better at being more in tune with nature, more in tune with where I'm at to see those small scenes. However, where I feel like I'm lacking, what I'm going to work on in 2024, obviously continue picking those small scenes out, but working on my compositions. I feel like I started to see these small scenes, but I wasn't doing a great job at conveying the story I wanted to tell, or conveying why would I have stopped and taken a picture of this particular small scene. So that's what I want to work on in 2024. Continuing to identify these scenes, but working on my compositions, trying more angles, trying different setups, different compositions, so that I can convey that story a little better. So that's the first thing. Stick with small scenes, continue working on my small scenes, but work on conveying what made me stop a little more clearly. The second thing I want to work on is my editing. I think I've continued to make editing improvements In all honesty, I feel like I'm still trying to find my actual style when it comes to editing. I feel way more comfortable in Lightroom and Photoshop than I used to, and about the hows and whys of doing certain things. But I think editing is one of those things that continues to evolve. When you first get in there, you're just overwhelmed by the sliders or Photoshop. But as you start to learn those and they become more basics and you understand why I would change this slider versus that slider, you start to understand some of the details and the minutia of editing. So this year I just sort of want to continue to work on my editing, continue to refine it, I'm not going to say find my style. I think that takes quite some time to evolve, and I'm not sure I've been doing landscape photography again long enough to define my style, but just sort of get a little bit stronger foundation of my editing as I work through that. So that's my other photography goal for 2024. Work on refining my editing, learning to use my tools a little better to get what I want out of the image. So that's it. That was my 2023 in review, my 2024 ahead. Like I said, these videos don't do amazing on YouTube. I do think the people that like behind the scenes love them, and that's awesome. That's who this video is for. But given how often I talk about reflection and planning ahead in my newsletters and social media posts, I just thought it'd be useful to do a high-level overview of me sort of working through that process. Looking back on 2023, some of the cornerstones of my photography and my photography business, sort of what I'm thinking about, how things went, and then looking ahead to 2024 on some of the tweaks and some of the changes I'm going to make. Now, to actually make these actionable, I'll sit down and get a little more defined than this high-level approach right here, but I think it gives you the idea, and it's what I'm encouraging you to do as a landscape photographer, is get out there, think about what worked for you last year, or do you want to improve in the year ahead? Set yourself some goals and move forward with that. So how about you? Do you do this? Do you look back on the past year, set some goals for the year ahead? Do you find it valuable? If so, what kind of goals do you have in mind for 2024? What are you looking to improve in your landscape photography? Is there something I can do on this channel to help you with that? Is there a video I can make that might help you with your goal, help move along? I'd love to hear those ideas down in the comments below. Let me hear what your goals are moving ahead. Let me hear what worked well in 2023, what didn't work well. Anything I can do to help, I'd be happy to do so. So anyways, thanks for watching this far. I hope it was helpful. Like I said, I find these behind the scenes type videos, this just sort of talk, useful. No, not everybody does, but hopefully you did. And if you did, be sure to hit that like button. And if you want to see future landscape photography content from me, including tips, tricks, behind the scenes, mini gear reviews, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And thank you for watching.